February 1942. Britain is alone. France occupied, North Africa sliding, German U-boats strangling the Atlantic, Bomber Command bleeds nightly over Europe, and nobody knows why. RAF Lancasters and Wellingtons vanish before they reach their targets. Something German sees them in the dark. Something locks on. Something guides night fighters straight to the formation leaders. British scientists whisper about a narrow beam radar system, Würzburg. The Luftwaffe has it on the French coast, 3 meters wide, scanning the channel. The losses mount. If Britain cannot bomb Germany, Britain cannot strike back. Dr. Reginald Victor Jones, head of scientific intelligence at MI6, proposes theft. Steal one, dismantle it, understand it, counter it. Where? Bruneval, 12 miles north of Le Havre. A Würzburg dish sits on the cliff top between a villa and the sea. Flight Lieutenant Tony Hill photographs it from a Spitfire on December 5th, 1941. That shot changes everything. Lord Louis Mountbatten, newly appointed Chief of Combined Operations, contacts 1st Airborne Division on January 8, 1942. Can your paratroopers seize a radar from occupied France? Major General Frederick Browning says yes. The race begins. London signals Gilbert Renault in Paris, codename Remy, leader of the Confrérie Notre Dame Resistance Network. They need ground intelligence, machine gun positions, barbed wire, garrison strength. Renault assigns 2 agents, Roger Dumont, codename Pole, a French Air Force captain, Charles Chauveau, codename Charlemagne, a garage mechanic from Le Havre. They drive to the coast, posing as agricultural engineers. What they find? The radar sits between a villa called Lone House and the cliff edge, 100 yards apart. Luftwaffe technicians live in the villa. 30 guards patrol the perimeter. Le Presbytère, a walled enclosure 400 yards north, houses about 100 German troops. More technicians, more infantry. South in Bruneval village, another platoon guards the beach exit at Hotel Beaumenet, commanded by an efficient sergeant, pillboxes. Machine gun nests, the beach itself, not mined. Sporadic barbed wire, patrolled regularly. Paul and Charlemagne walk the beach with a bored German sentry who lets them through. They confirm the tide schedule, note the access ravine, visit a black market restaurant, copy German officer names from the hotel register. Back in Paris, Remy transmits. British intelligence cross-references the names with unit rosters. Now they know which Wehrmacht formations hold Cap d'Antifer. The intelligence is perfect. A French resistance member who helped with this reconnaissance will later be captured and executed by the Germans. Frost has low opinions of airborne warfare after reading about German losses in Crete. His commanding officer tells him he should keep his feet on the ground. Frost joins anyway. By January 1942, he commands Jock Company, as the Scots call it. Mountbatten chooses them for Operation Biting. They train without knowing the target. Salisbury Plain, Loch Fyne, jumping from converted Whitley bombers. 10 men from number 12. Commando will secure the beach. Royal Engineers from 1st Airborne Squadron will plant mines and assist demolition. RAF Flight Sergeant Charles William Harold Cox will dismantle the radar. Cox is told he volunteered. He never volunteered for anything. Air Commodore Victor Henry Tate summons him to the Air Ministry on February 1st. Cox, a cinema projectionist from March in peacetime, now one of Britain's best radar mechanics, hobby ham radio operator, asks what he volunteered for. Tate cannot say. Top secret. But will you volunteer? Cox volunteers. He learns the mission only after promotion to flight sergeant. Parachute into France, dismantle of Würzburg, escape by sea. The backup radar technician breaks his leg in jump training. Cox suggests Lieutenant Dennis Vernon of the Royal Engineers. Vernon proves bright, learns fast. They attend radar briefings with Dr. Jones himself. Cox will jump in RAF blue, shirt and tie under his smock. The War Office refuses to give him Army uniform despite the risk. If captured in Air Force blue with radar expertise, the Germans will know exactly what he is. If you value documented World War II history and commando operations like this, subscribe. It is the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you are hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from the Imperial War Museum's archives, published September 2025, and Warfare History Network's detailed Operation Biting analysis from February 2023, alongside the D-Day Overlord Historical Database last updated August 2025. These are not general histories, but specialized military operation archives with participant testimonies, German after-action reports, and photographic evidence. Now back to the information. Named, ironically, for Royal Navy admirals. Nelson Section, Lieutenant Ewan Charteris, clear the beach, hold the evacuation point. Jellicoe Section, Lieutenant Peter Young, assault the Lone House Villa. Hardy Section, capture the radar enclosure. Drake Section, Lieutenant Peter Naumoff. Secure the withdrawal route. Rodney Section, Reserve Force. protect against counterattack from Le Presbytère. The force rehearses on the English coast near Inverary. The dress rehearsal in late February is a disaster. Equipment scatters, timings fail, units lose each other in the dark. But the weather is turning. Moon phase, favorable. Tide schedule, optimal. February 23rd, standby. 24th, weather foul. 25th, weather foul. 26th, weather foul. By the 27th, Frost thinks they have lost the window. Then, late afternoon, the word comes. Tonight. 1 foot of snow in France, but no wind. Bright moon with light haze. 12 Armstrong Whitworth Whitleys at RAF Thruxton. 51 Squadron, commanded by Squadron Leader Percy Charles Pickard. 12 aircraft, 120 paratroopers plus engineers plus Cox. Portsmouth. HMS Prince Albert puts to sea carrying 32 men from No. 12 Commando under Commander Frederick Norman Cook, Royal Australian Navy. 6 assault landing craft, 4 motor gunboats, 4 destroyer escorts. The flotilla will wait offshore. Signal, flare from the beach. No signal, no pickup. Cox solos the Rose of Tralee, an Englishman singing Irish for Scotsmen over France. The formation crosses the channel at low altitude. Midnight approaches, February 28th, 1942, 00:15 hours. Drop zone whiskey, a field south of the radar station. The lead, Whitley drops. Frost exits, 12 men follow. The chutes open white against moonlight. The second stick drops, the third. But Squadron Leader Pickard's navigators are human. Some sticks land spot on, others drift. Charteris and Nelson section hit the ground almost 2,000 yards south of the zone. Hardy section scatters. The surprise Frost counted on evaporates, every man silhouetted in a parachute against that moon. But the Würzburg operators are asleep. The Villa guards are bored. Nobody sounds the alarm. Frost reaches Lone House. Jellicoe section rushes it. 1 German soldier fires. He is killed. The villa is almost empty. The technicians moved to other quarters days before. 1 prisoner, a Luftwaffe radar operator. Unexpected prize. Frost hears heavy firing from the beach. Nelson section should have that secured, but Charteris landed 2,000 yards off target and is fighting his way back through German positions. The beach is not clear. Hardy section reaches the Würzburg. The 3-meter parabolic dish sits on its wheeled trailer between the villa and the cliff. Cox arrives with Vernon and the Royal Engineers, under fire. Machine guns from the beach defenses, rifle fire from Le Presbytère. Cox has tools, screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers, crowbar. He photographs the array. 30 minutes was the estimate. Cox has less. The receiver unit inside the dish, mounting modular design. He unscrews panels. Too slow. German fire intensifies. Vernon helps. Cox switches to the crowbar. Rips components free. Cables, the rotating feed horn, the amplifier. The display unit cathode ray tubes are too fragile. He leaves them. Loads everything onto the trolley. Freezing, bullets, smoke. The dish itself cannot be moved intact. Engineers wire demolition charges. Frost decides, withdraw. The radar parts go. The German prisoner goes. Time to the beach. Machine gun in a concrete position above the shingle. Pillboxes on the cliff. Nelson section still fighting inland. Charteris and his men are pinned. Frost pulls Hardy and Drake sections to assault the machine gun nest. Fire and movement. Grenades. Close quarters. The Germans in the strong point are killed. The position is cleared. Charteris and Nelson finally break through. All sections converge on the beach ravine. The radio is not working. Cannot signal the Navy. Frost fires the emergency flare. 1 chance. Offshore, Cook and the motor gun boats have been hiding from a German destroyer and 2 E-boats that nearly found them. Absolute silence for an hour. Now they see the flare. The landing craft move in. The beach is under fire from Germans in Bruneval village. Return fire from the cliffs. Mortar rounds. Tracer. 300 yards of shingle. The craft hit the beach at 02:15. Frost loads the radar components. Loads the prisoners. 114 men. 6 men are missing. Casualties. 2 paratroopers killed. 6 wounded. 6 men did not make the boats. They will be captured. 1 section stays behind, searching for wounded. Too long. Germans retake Lone House. Fire rakes the beach from above. The last craft shove off under heavy fire. Cook transfers everyone to the motor gun boats. 4 destroyers and a Spitfire squadron meet them at dawn. Portsmouth by morning. The German technician prisoner, interrogated, confirms British radar operators are better trained than Luftwaffe technicians. Serial numbers on components. Lowest 40,000, 144. Highest 41,093. Doctor. Jones calculates German production, 100 Würzburg units per month. The frequency range, 560 MHz. Wavelength, 53.6 centimeters. Vulnerable to a countermeasure already developed. Window, strips of aluminum foil cut to precise wavelengths. Drop them from bombers. Every strip creates a false radar echo. Clouds of chaff overwhelm the display. Würzburg becomes useless. The British hold window secret for another year. July 1943. The first window attack over Hamburg. German radar goes blind. Bomber losses drop immediately. The captured equipment reveals one more thing. The distinctive barbed wire configuration around the Bruneval Würzburg matches wire patterns visible in aerial reconnaissance photos all along the Atlantic Wall. Every Würzburg station has the same defensive layout. Now, RAF photographic units can identify every German radar station from Calais to Brest, mark them for destruction. Months before D-Day, Allied bombers systematically destroy German radar coverage along the Normandy coast. The invasion fleet sails almost blind to German tracking. The British move their own radar research center from Swanage on the coast to Malvern inland. Insurance against German reprisal raids, none come. Also, drop a comment with your city. This research is factual, drawing from the Airborne Assault Museum's Operation Biting Archive collection, last accessed October 2025, and traces of war's verified German casualty documentation from January 2025. These are specialist military archives with cross-referenced Allied and German records, not general histories. Back to the story. Luftwaffe, 3 killed, 1 wounded, 3 missing. Total, 5 dead. 12 casualties or prisoners, against 2 British killed, 8 wounded, 6 captured. Churchill summons Frost and his officers to the War Cabinet on March 3rd. Personal interest. Morale boost at the worst moment of the war. Singapore falls February 15th. The Mediterranean lost. North Africa precarious. Rommel advancing. The Arctic convoys bleeding. Here at last, British troops strike occupied Europe and win. The press runs jubilant stories for weeks. May 15th. London Gazette announces 19 decorations. Frost Military Cross. Cook Distinguished Service Cross. Cox Military Medal. 2 more Distinguished Service Crosses. 2 Distinguished Service Medals. 1 more Military Cross. 2 more Military Medals. 9 mentions in dispatches. The War Office expands airborne forces immediately. Airborne Forces Depot and Battle School opens at Derbyshire in April 1942. The Parachute Regiment officially forms August 1942, converting multiple infantry battalions. Operation Biting validates the concept. Paratroopers can conduct precision raids, seize objectives. Withdraw under fire. Every major Allied airborne operation that follows owes proof of concept to Bruneval. Out of ammunition on the 4th night, he is captured wounded. Released when Americans overrun his prison camp, March 1945. Bar to his Distinguished Service Order. Retires 1968 as Major General. Dies May 21st, 1993. Cox survives the war. Serves in North Africa and Italy with radar units. Returns to civilian life. Opens an electrical shop in Wisbech. Marries Violet, 2 children. Dies 1997. When he went into a tailor shop after Bruneval to buy his military medal ribbon, the assistant saw his RAF uniform and questioned the Army Award. Cox replied, "Not much." Squadron Leader Pickard continues dropping paratroopers and flying Special Operations executive missions. Killed February 1944 during a raid on Amiens prison. Carteris, killed in North Africa before the year ends. Sergeant Major Strachan, wounded again at Arnhem. Dies 1948, age 42 from wound complications. The German prisoner technician, interrogated by British scientists, provides details confirming British fears and British capabilities. German radar technology, advanced but not beyond British reach. German training, inferior to RAF standards. German production capacity, calculable. Countermeasures, feasible. Folds horizontally for transport on a wheeled trailer. Frequency, 560 MHz. 2 microsecond pulse length. Peak power, 7 to 11 kilowatts. Pulse repetition frequency, 3,750 Hz. Maximum range, 29 kilometers. Range accuracy, 125 meters. Azimuth accuracy, 0.2 degrees. Elevation. Accuracy, 0.2 degrees. The dish could track a single bomber and guide a night fighter or direct flak batteries. The Würzburg C model adds lobe switching for better accuracy. 2 receiver horns slightly off-center. Signal switches between them. Operator keeps both returns at equal height on the display. Faster feedback, common mode errors eliminated. The Würzburg D model, introduced 1941, adds conical scanning. A rotating offset feed called a quirl, German for whisk, spins at 25 Hz. Even more precise, this is the model at Bruneval. Later, Würzburg Riese, giant Würzburg, 7.4 meter antenna, 70 kilometer range, azimuth and elevation accuracy, 0.1 to 0.2 degrees. 1,500 Riese models produced during the war, Over 4,000 total Würzburgs of all types, every Atlantic wall battery, every German city with flak defenses, every night fighter control station. Dutch scientists bring surplus Würzburgs to Kootwijk radio station in the early 1950s. Radio astronomy experiments, hydrogen line discovery, mapping the Milky Way spiral arms. Martin Ryle and Derek von Berg used 2 Würzburg antennas at Cavendish Laboratory from 1945 to observe sunspots. 2 Würzburgs installed at Ondřejov Observatory in Czechoslovakia around 1956. One operates until 1994, measuring solar radiation flux. The other measures solar spectrum from 100 to 1,000 megahertz. German military technology becomes peacetime astronomical science. A Würzburg Riese sits on Milos Island in Greece, constructed 1942 by occupation forces, destroyed by Germans in June 1945. The ruins remain. The only intact Würzburg today, Militärhistorisches Museum der Bundeswehr at Berlin-Gatow, preserved, displayed, silent. A granite slab inaugurated by General Charles de Gaulle, March 30th, 1947, with veterans and 20,000 attendees. A larger monument designed under André Malraux. The beach ravine, where 114 men scrambled to boats under fire, still cuts to the sea. The Hotel Beaumenet in Bruneval village, where the German sergeant commanded his garrison, standing. The field where Frost and his men parachuted, farmland again. The spot where Cox tore Würzburg components free with a crowbar while bullets snapped overhead, marked. 80 years later, the raid remains the template. Small force, precision insertion, technical objective, speed, violence, withdrawal under fire. Every component executed. The stolen technology revealed German capabilities and confirmed countermeasures. The morale impact steadied a nation. The tactical success proved airborne forces viable. The strategic intelligence altered the electronic warfare balance for the remainder of the war. February 23rd to February 26th. 4 straight days watching the sky. Frost convinced they had missed the lunar window. Then, the 27th clears. If the weather holds one more day, the mission scrubs until March, when tide and moon realign. One night, Pickard's Whitleys take off. The Germans at Bruneval are accustomed to British bombers overhead. Another formation, nothing unusual. Until the parachutes open, even then, only a few guards respond. The Luftwaffe technicians asleep in the villa, the main garrison at Le Presbytère slow to react. Those minutes of German confusion give Cox time, give Frost room, give Charteris the chance to fight back to the beach despite landing 2,000 yards off target. Timing, weather, luck. But mostly, brutal, competent men executing a plan with no illusions about the costs. The 6 paratroopers who did not make the boats, captured by Germans in the hours after the raid, interrogated, imprisoned, they survived the war. One member of the French resistance who provided reconnaissance is not so fortunate, captured, executed. Gilbert Renault, Colonel Remy, continues resistance operations. Awarded Ordre de la Libération March 13th, 1942. Puts the French Communist Party in contact with Free France January 1943. Survives the war, post-war political career. Dies July 29th, 1984. His network, Confrérie Notre Dame, becomes one of the most important in occupied France and Belgium. Information from his agents enables not only Bruneval, but also the raid on Saint-Nazaire in March 1942. Roger Dumont, codename Paul, and Charles Chauveau, codename Charlemagne, both survive the war. Their reconnaissance, walking German-held beaches, posing as engineers, copying names from a hotel register, provides the tactical intelligence that makes Bruneval possible. No French resistance ground intelligence, no raid. Frost lands blind. Cox works blind. The beach evacuation becomes a massacre. Instead, French agents map every pillbox, every machine gun nest, every barbed wire obstacle, every garrison location, the tide schedule, the ravine access. Perfect intelligence. Maximum surprise. British radar. More advanced components, but complex to fix. Requires graduate-level engineers. Germans. Adequate performance, simple maintenance. The interrogated German technician confirms it. He has basic training, knows which module does what, cannot explain circuit theory. British radar operators. University educated. Understand the physics, can improvise repairs. The trade-off, German radar deploys faster and wider because maintenance is easier. British radar performs better but requires scarce expertise. Neither side has a pure advantage. Different philosophies. Different constraints. Let the scientists figure out how it worked from the wreckage. And they do. Telecommunications Research Establishment reverse engineers the entire system from Cox's Hall and the interrogation transcripts. Discover the frequency tuning range. Test jamming resistance. Confirm window will work. Measure the actual antenna gain. Calculate the detection range. Plot the scanning speed. Everything needed to defeat Würzburg comes from that one night, that one dash. Cox under fire with a crowbar and a trolley. Cook offshore in the motor gun boats, watching for the signal. German destroyer and E-boats prowling nearby. Absolute silence. Cannot risk detection. Then the flare. 6 landing craft race for shore. German fire from Bruneval village. Machine guns, mortars, rifles. The craft hit the beach. Engines roaring. Men scrambling over the sides into knee-deep surf, dragging trolleys with radar parts and German prisoners. Loading the wounded. Counting heads. 6 missing. No time to search. The German garrison is reacting. Infantry from the Presbytère moving toward the beach. The last craft away under fire. 1 man on the beach, shot in the leg trying to reach the boats. Left behind, captured at dawn. The motor gun boats take everyone aboard. High-speed run for the channel. 4 destroyers meet them halfway. Spitfire squadron overhead at first light. Portsmouth by breakfast. The radar components immediately to Malvern. The prisoners to interrogation. The wounded to hospital. Frost and his officers to Churchill. 3 hours from wheels up to wheels down. 2 hours on the ground in France. Speed, shock, extraction, textbook. Except Nelson section landing 2,000 yards south. Except the radios failing. Except the machine gun nest nobody expected. Every plan degrades on contact. Every mission has friction. Bruneval succeeds because the men adapt. Frost assaults the beach defenses when they are not cleared. Charteris fights 2,000 yards through German positions to reach the objective. Cox rips the radar apart when his screwdriver is too short. Vernon learns radar technology in a week and assists demolition under fire. The flexibility matters more than the plan. The German after-action reports found post-war reveal confusion. Nobody expected paratroopers. The radar station is a technical installation, not a front-line position. Guards, but not combat troops. The main infantry garrison at Le Presbytère, 400 yards away. By the time they respond, Frost has already secured Lone House, and Cox is working on the Würzburg. German reinforcements arrive after the British withdraw. They find bodies, spent brass, demolition damage to the radar dish, missing components, prisoners gone. The entire raid executed and finished before effective resistance forms. German commanders blame the guards, blame the weather, blame the moon, post better sentries, increase patrols, reinforce coastal defenses, string more barbed wire. The barbed wire is their mistake. Aerial reconnaissance photographs every station with the new wire patterns. RAF targets them all. Months later, systematic destruction. Bruneval's defenses improve too late. Spitfire modified for high-altitude photo runs, unarmed, fast. High-resolution cameras, hill flies. The French coast photographing German installations. One image shows the Würzburg dish on the Bruneval clifftop, 3 meters wide, parabolic, mounted on a trailer. The villa behind it. Le Presbytère to the north, the beach ravine to the south. That single photograph confirms the target exists and provides the layout for mission planning. Photographic reconnaissance unit analysts examine every pixel, measure distances, identify buildings, count windows, plot sight lines. Estimate garrison size from laundry on clotheslines. Calculate cliff heights from shadow lengths. Hill's photograph plus French resistance ground intelligence equals a complete target package. No guesswork, no assumptions, hard facts. Churchill needs a victory, any victory. Singapore falls the week before Bruneval. Disaster, humiliation, tens of thousands of British and Commonwealth troops surrendered. Malaya lost, Burma threatened. The Mediterranean dominated by Axis forces. Tobruk will fall in June. Rommel at the gates of Egypt. The Atlantic convoys hemorrhaging tonnage to U-boats. Strategic bombing failing, Bomber Command bleeding. The Eastern Front, Germans advancing towards Stalingrad and the Caucasus oil fields. Allied prospects grim everywhere. Then Bruneval. Small, tactical, but successful. British troops strike occupied France, seize a German technology objective, bring it home, beat the garrison, evacuate under fire, 0 losses in equipment, minimal casualties, complete success. The press trumpets it, the public celebrates it, morale soars, Parliament applauds. For a few weeks, Britain has a victory that matters enormously. The strategic intelligence from the raid matters more long-term. The morale boost matters more immediately. Churchill understands this. He summons Frost personally. War cabinet briefing, maximum publicity. The photos of paratroopers with captured equipment run in every newspaper. Frost becomes famous. Cox becomes famous. The parachute regiment becomes viable. Future operations get funding. Training expands. Conversion of infantry battalions proceeds. Bruneval pays dividends far beyond the Würzburg components. The concept of precision airborne raids appeals to American planners already designing airborne divisions. Rangers form March 1942. Airborne training intensifies. American paratroopers will drop into North Africa in November 1942 during Operation Torch. Drop into Sicily July 1943. Drop into Normandy, June 1944. Every American airborne operation references Bruneval as proof that small, heavily trained forces can seize specific objectives deep in enemy territory if insertion is fast and extraction is planned. The template spreads. British, American, Canadian, Free French, Polish, all the Allied airborne forces study Bruneval. What worked, what failed, what to copy, what to avoid. Every major German city has them for flak control. Every Atlantic Wall strong point, every night fighter base. Production continues until May 1945. The British capture dozens intact as they advance through France and Germany. Examine them, compared to the Bruneval model. Track improvements. The modular design never changes. New models get better range or accuracy, but the maintenance philosophy remains. Swap modules, field repairs, minimal training. The giant Würzburg Rhesus is too large for trailers. Permanent installations, railway-mounted versions, 15 tons. 7.4 meter dish, longer range, higher accuracy, but the fundamental design, Telefunken's original concept, parabolic reflector, microwave transmitter, conical scanning, modular receivers, simple displays, the system works. German night fighters use Würzburg guidance to vector toward RAF bomber streams. British bombers use window to blind Würzburg radar. Electronic warfare escalates. Würzburg gets filters. Window gets more sophisticated. The cycle continues until German radar networks collapse in late 1944 under combined bombing and jamming. But in February 1942, Würzburg is winning. British scientists need to know how. Cox provides the answer: one trolley full of torn components. One captured technician, enough. RAF and USAF bombers hit them in coordinated strikes. Some survive, most are damaged or destroyed. When the invasion fleet crosses the Channel June 6, 1944, German radar coverage has holes. The fleet approaches through the gaps. Deception operations, electronic countermeasures, and window create false echoes where real ships are not. The surviving Würzburg stations see phantom fleets. The real invasion force arrives before German commanders understand what is happening. Bruneval's intelligence enables this. The barbed wire patterns, the modular design, the frequency ranges, the scanning rates, the effective range, the jamming vulnerabilities, all discovered from one raid, applied 2 years later. The Normandy landings succeed for many reasons: air superiority, naval gunfire, airborne flank securing. Deception operations, overwhelming numbers. One factor among many, degraded German radar. That degradation starts with Bruneval. Out of ammunition, captured wounded, but Bruneval makes his career, proves his competence, earns the Military Cross, builds his reputation. The Scots of C Company trust him, follow him, fight for him. That trust comes from Bruneval. The operation where he leads from the front, assaults the machine gun nest personally, manages the evacuation under fire, brings almost everyone home. The 6 men captured are not his fault. Nelson's section dropping 2,000 yards off target is navigation error, not command failure. Frost adapts. Wins anyway. His men see it, higher command sees it. Bruneval makes Frost. Arnhem tests him, he passes both. Opens an electrical shop. Wisbech, Violet, 2 children. Quiet life. The photograph of him with his military medal ribbon makes local papers. The story occasionally retold, old paratrooper reunions, 70th anniversary commemoration, but mostly shopkeeper, electrician, husband, father. The man who dismantled Hitler's radar with a crowbar under fire lives a normal peacetime existence. Dies 1997. Grandson Darren Parrish later says 2 men were assigned specifically to protect Cox during the raid. Orders. He must not fall into German hands. Too much knowledge. Too valuable. If capture looks likely, kill him? Cox never knows this. Works on the radar, thinking only about which components to take and how to move them. Bullets snapping past, machine gun fire, mortar rounds, flames. He photographs the installation, unscrews panels, abandons that when it takes too long, applies the crowbar, rips the receiver unit free, loads it on the trolley, moves to the next component. Germans are shooting at him specifically. Luftwaffe guards recognize the importance of protecting the radar. Cox and Vernon both under direct fire. Neither stops. The engineers around them provide covering fire. Cox keeps working. Vernon assists. They strip the Würzburg in minutes. Estimated time, 30 minutes. Actual time, less than 15. Under fire. In snow. At night, job done. Trolley to beach, load the boats home. The evacuation beach ravine still exists. Steep path from clifftop to shingle. The Royal Navy craft beached bow first. Ramps down, men scrambling aboard. Wounded carried, prisoners pushed. Radar components carefully loaded. Machine gun fire from German positions above. Mortar rounds impacting on shingle. Tracer rounds across the surf. Return fire from paratroopers on the cliffs. The commandos from number 12. Commando in the boats, providing suppressing fire. Engines roaring, propellers churning. Craft reversing off the beach. Germans counter-attacking from Bruneval village. Too late. The last craft away. Cook in the motor gun boats waiting offshore watches the landing craft emerge from the cove pursued by tracer fire. Takes them aboard. High speed run northwest. The German destroyer and E-boats have moved on. Dawn in 3 hours. Need distance. The destroyer escort meets them in mid-channel. Spitfire squadron at first light. Portsmouth. Mission complete. 3 hours total time over enemy territory. Objective achieved. Technology captured. Garrison defeated. Casualties minimal. Success. The German garrison commander at Bruneval is relieved of duty. The raid happens on his watch. Failure. The Luftwaffe officer, commanding radar station security, faces inquiry. The efficient sergeant at Hotel Beaumanet, commanding the beach defenses, is reprimanded, despite his platoon engaging the British and inflicting casualties. Not enough. British paratroopers penetrated coastal defenses, seized a critical installation, held it long enough to dismantle equipment, and withdrew successfully. Unacceptable. Heads roll. Defenses reinforced. Patrols increased. Garrison strength doubled. Coastal artillery positioned to cover the beach. More machine gun nests. More barbed wire. More mines. All improvements implemented after the British leave. The irony, making Bruneval impregnable after it no longer matters. The Würzburg components are in Malvern. The intelligence is in Churchill's hands. The countermeasures are in development. Fortifying Bruneval now is irrelevant, but German command does not see it. They see successful enemy raid. They respond with predictable military logic. Strengthen the position. Prevent recurrence. Which means stringing the distinctive barbed wire that appears in aerial photos. Which means marking every other Würzburg station in France for RAF targeting. German security improvement becomes Allied targeting solution. Bruneval keeps giving. The technical specifications discovered from the captured equipment. Würzburg D model operates at 560 MHz with wavelength 53.6 centimeters. Transmitter power 7 to 11 kilowatts. Pulse length 2 microseconds. Pulse repetition frequency 3,750 Hz. Antenna gain approximately 38 decibels. Beam width approximately 5 degrees. Scanning speed 25 Hz conical scan. Detection range approximately 30 kilometers against large bombers. Tracking accuracy 0.2 degrees in azimuth and elevation. Range accuracy 125 meters. These numbers enable British scientists to design window precisely. Aluminum strips cut to half wavelength dimensions. Clouds of chaff creating thousands of false returns. Würzburg operators cannot distinguish real aircraft from reflections. The entire system becomes unreliable. German engineers respond with frequency agility and filtering. British respond with variable length chaff and saturation tactics. The electronic warfare spiral begins. All from specifications derived from Cox's trolley load of components torn from the Bruneval Würzburg in February 1942. January 1942 proposes the raid. February executes it. Textbook. Air insertion. Naval extraction. Technical objective achieved. Zero political complications. No civilians harmed. French resistance assists willingly. No diplomatic fallout. Pure military success. Mountbatten uses Bruneval to argue for expanded combined operations authority. More resources. More missions. St. Nazaire in March. Dieppe in August. Madagascar in May. The tempo increases. Not all succeed like Bruneval. Dieppe is catastrophic, but Bruneval proves the concept. Mountbatten's career advances. He later commands Southeast Asia Command. Receives Japanese surrender in Singapore, September 1945. The man who authorized Bruneval becomes Supreme Allied Commander theater level, from raiding party approval to strategic command. Bruneval helps that progression. Post-war, professor at Aberdeen University, writes Most Secret War, published 1978. Definitive account of scientific intelligence operations. Bruneval features prominently. Jones credits French resistance, Frost's leadership, Cox's technical skill, and operational planning. But mostly credits the decision to raid rather than just photograph or bomb. Get the actual hardware, bring it home, let scientists touch it, measure it, test it. No speculation, no inference from photos. Actual equipment. The intelligence quality difference is immeasurable. Jones argues for more technical intelligence raids based on Bruneval. Some happen, most do not. Bruneval remains the exemplar. One night, one objective. Complete success. Intelligence impact lasting years. British and French, paratroopers and resistance. The beach access blocked now. Civilian area, summer tourists, winter solitude. The cliff edge where Würzburg sat, residential property, private. The villa site, rebuilt after war. Different structure. Le Presbytère. Enclosure, modified. Still recognizable. Hotel Beaumanet in the village, renovated, operating. The drop zone field south of the radar position, farmland, crops, quiet, no plaque, just earth. 80 years erased most physical evidence. The memorials remain. Veterans gather for anniversaries, fewer each decade. Eventually, none. The operation passes from living memory to history to distant past, but the technical intelligence gathered that night altered electronic warfare for years. The tactical template influenced dozens of operations. The morale impact steadied a nation in its darkest hour. 3 hours over. France, costs, 2 dead, 8 wounded, 6 captured on the British side, 5 dead, 12 casualties or captured on the German side, 1 French resistance member executed later. Returns. Complete Würzburg specifications, modular design revealed, countermeasures developed, coastal radar network mapped, morale restored, airborne forces validated, tactical doctrine established, 114 men. One night, immeasurable consequences. The archive photograph showing Cox and Frost after the raid, both grinning. Cox with his military medal ribbon, Frost with his military cross. That image circulates widely. Newspapers, newsreels, propaganda. Later, history books, documentaries, museum displays. 2 men who pulled off the impossible. The Scot who led them in, the technician who tore it out, the radio mechanic who never volunteered for anything until asked if he would, the major who thought parachuting was stupid until he did it successfully. Both men grinning because they lived, they succeeded, and they know what it means. Britain has a victory. Small, tactical, but real. They are part of it. The photograph captures that. Relief, pride, exhaustion, the survivors look. Frost goes on to Arnhem. Cox goes on to North Africa. Both survive the war. Both live long, peacetime lives. But that photograph at Portsmouth, February 28, 1942, remains. 2 men who were there when it worked. 949 unit range. Jones calculates. Approximately 100 units per month production rate. Extrapolates. Total Würzburg production. Approximately 4,000 units by war end. Actual figure, over 4,000. Jones' calculation from serial numbers nearly exact. That intelligence matters because it tells British planners how many radar stations Germany can deploy, where coverage is likely strong, where gaps exist. Operational planning factors this in. Bomber routes adjust, target selection adjusts, deception operations adjust. All from serial numbers Cox noticed while ripping components off a radar trailer at midnight in France under machine gun fire. He photographs them, engineers note them, intelligence analysts calculate from them. 1 trolley load of hardware generates layers of intelligence. Component design. Manufacturing techniques, production rates, deployment patterns, all usable, all actionable. The raid's intelligence value compounds over time as analysts extract more information from the physical evidence and the interrogations. Target destroyed, components captured, prisoners taken, casualties acceptable, technical intelligence comprehensive, strategic impact significant, morale boost achieved, airborne concept validated, every mission objective met, no follow-up required. The operation closes the night it executes. No loose ends, no unfinished business, clean success, rare in war. Most operations have complications, partial failures, unintended consequences. Bruneval has none. It works exactly as designed, which makes it historically unusual. Most famous operations succeed, despite problems. Bruneval succeeds without them. Nelson section landing off target is the only serious error, and Charteris compensates by fighting through. Everything else, flawless execution. Weather clears. Navigation mostly accurate. Parachute drop successful. Surprise achieved. Objectives secured. Demolition completed. Evacuation executed. Return journey safe. Intelligence exploited. Recognition awarded. Future operations enabled. Total success. Cox's crowbar probably discarded. The trolley scrapped. The parachutes repurposed. The photographs archived. The after-action reports filed. The German reports found and translated post-war. The French resistance records preserved. The veterans' testimonies recorded. The memorial stones engraved. The beach axis still cutting through cliffs to sea. The moon that illuminated the parachutes rises and sets over Bruneval every month unchanged. 80 winters of snow have fallen on the drop zone field. 80 springs have greened it. The earth remembers nothing. The stones remember names. The archives remember details. And the technical intelligence gathered in those few minutes under fire by a radio mechanic with a crowbar altered the trajectory of electronic warfare in the Second World War, more than any single operation before or since. Frost assaulting pillboxes. Charteris fighting 2,000 yards through Germans. Vernon learning radar in a week. Cook dodging E-boats offshore. Pickard flying through coastal defenses. Renault's agents posing as engineers. Paul and Charlemagne copying names from a hotel register. Hill photographing from a Spitfire. Jones proposing theft. Mountbatten authorizing the raid, Churchill demanding victory, all converge on one cliff top on one winter night. The Würzburg sits between a villa and the sea, 30 guards, 100 troops nearby, strong defenses, strategic importance. Nobody expects 120 paratroopers to appear at midnight, dismantle it with crowbars, fight their way to the beach, and vanish on Royal Navy craft before effective response. But that is exactly what happens. Because the plan is sound, the intelligence is perfect, the men are competent, the weather clears, the moon shines, and sometimes operations actually work. 5 dead, 7 wounded, 5 captured. 1 radar installation destroyed, components missing. British parachute raid. Duration, approximately 90 minutes from first contact to withdrawal. Enemy strength, estimated 120 paratroopers plus engineers plus naval personnel. German response, too slow. Counterattack, too late. Assessment, successful enemy operation. Recommendations: increase coastal garrison strength, improve alert procedures, reinforce beach defenses, protect technical installations with multiple defensive rings, string additional barbed wire perimeters. Actions taken. All recommendations implemented within 2 weeks. Outcome: Bruneval defenses become impregnable. Too late. The intelligence is in British hands. The countermeasures are in development. The barbed wire pattern marks every Würzburg in France for destruction. German improvement becomes German vulnerability. The logic of it escapes them until 1944, when RAF systematically destroys coastal radar using the targeting intelligence derived from Bruneval security improvements. That casualty report, filed in 1942, read in context in 1945, tells the whole story. One raid's unintended second-order effects cascade forward. Bruneval keeps damaging German radar operations years after the actual raid because the German response to it creates new vulnerabilities. Perfect operation, perfect intelligence, perfect consequences.